Let's get into NXT. Okay, Miles Bourne. He said that he wants to be known for his ability, not his disability, and to prove that anyone can achieve. He's out there to be a role model. Oh my Lord. They would turn this kid into a role model, wouldn't they? Ethan Page clowned Miles Bourne not being able to hear. Said that he was worse than Ricky Starks, so that he's going to rain on his parade as well. Then said that he won a battle royal, which is a fluke, and that Miles Bourne can't beat Oba. And if you think you can, put your championship match on the line against me tonight. Miles Bourne actually agreed to it with a little bit of help from Charlie Dempsey. Dempsey had a match with Oba Femi. Charlie Dempsey reminds me a lot of William Regal. He bumps like William Regal. He sells a little bit like William Regal. He don't have his dad's facial expressions, but he took a lot from William Regal, that's for sure. Oba Femi wins the match with the fall from grace powerbomb. Later in the night, Miles Bourne does defeat Ethan Page with a drop kick, believe it or not. Oh my God. So because Miles Bourne never wins a match, apparently Miles Bourne had no prepared finisher. So Ethan Page came off the ropes, and it was a very close drop kick. A disoriented Ethan Page is then rolled up in a jackknife pin and pinned by Miles Bourne. It's positioned kind of like another fluke, kind of, but before the match, Ethan Page had words with Ricky Starks where they said Ethan Page said he'll pick this up later, but he's got a championship match to win. So after losing to Miles Bourne, later in the night after the show, after the main event, Ethan Page actually assaulted Ricky Starks backstage, left him laying and grunting and groaning and whatever. Let's start with Miles Bourne. I think he did a good job on the mic. That voice is very strange. It's going to take some getting used to because they want him to talk, and he seems comfortable talking, but the way he talks is very bizarre, and I don't know if somebody's going to make fun of it eventually. It just seems like the most natural thing in the world to make fun of. They're trying to turn him into this role model babyface, that he's going to do this for all the deaf kids and all the kids who are different. It's a little heavy-handed. I would have just liked for him to sort of just acknowledge that's why he talks this way, is because he's hard of hearing. The crowd is chanting, "Miles can't hear you," which is pretty funny. They chanted that at Ethan Page. I think it's kind of corny that they're turning them into a role model babyface. I don't like that. But other than that, I think he was pretty good here. Ethan Page, yikes. Look, I don't know what you can do with this guy. He is just tofu. I just don't know what more you can do. Ricky Starks, man, he has actually better options, which we'll talk about later. As a matter of fact, let's talk about it right now. Sean Legacy of Evolve, he actually pitched a match with Javon Evans, and they went to one of their locker room segments where, Javon Evans was watching Sean Legacy's video, and because he's rude, being Negro and all, he's not wearing headphones, so it's basically on the speaker. And Ashani Diadonis is sitting in the corner of the locker room, basically telling them, look, you already got a contract. You don't got to waste your time with these indie guys. And Javon Evans, throws some shade his way about, not being able to keep a girl and all that. And then the two of them become face to face. And Ashanti then says, look, you main evented a pay-per-view. Why are you going to be concerned with this indie guy? Which is a solid question. Why would you be concerned with this nobody indie guy? So Javon Evans says that, well, he hasn't forgotten where he came from, which I think is pretty good. And then Ashanti said, well, I guess I could beat you both, but, whatever. And as they're talking, Ricky Starks just happened to be in the room and suggested a match between them, and that he will have the winner. Interesting bit here is I thought the match was Ashanti versus Javon Evans. It turns out that it's Ashanti, Javon Evans, and Shawn Legacy. It's a triple threat match. Because no reason. You couldn't say, well, we're going to have Javon Evans versus Shawn Legacy first. And then we're going to have Javon versus Ashanti. And then Ricky Starks is going to wrestle the winner. No. Triple threat match. For no good reason. Shawn Legacy did not challenge Ashanti the Adonis to a match. He did not. So now we got that happening. And now Ethan Page is attacking Ricky Starks. So that's still going on too. My goodness. I gotta tell you, I think the triple threat idea is far more interesting. You know, him wrestling the winner of that match is far more interesting to me than him having another tussle with Ethan Page. I can tell you I don't need that in my life. Wes Lee and the High Rise, that's the name of his stable now, defeat Tony D'Angelo because Stacks found Rizzo's safe house. He was just hanging out outside wearing black gloves and a black jacket. You know, porch light on and everything. He's just hanging out in the dark. Creepy. D'Angelo was winning the match. There was a very weird spot where Wesley tried the cardiac kick, which you know is a handspring kick, which is a stupid move. I wish he would change that finisher. And Tony D'Angelo tried to counter it, but it ended up only with Wesley on the top of his head. It was very ugly. Once he was distracted by Stacks showing up on the screen, Wesley hit the cardiac kick and got the pin. So Wesley, oh boy, he won. About time. The first time he's won in a really long time, it feels like. I don't even know if he wins in TNA anymore. I don't think he wins there either. Anyway, Tony D'Angelo hops in a car and has one of his goons drives him to the safe house where he is immediately jumped by Stacks with a crowbar. Stacks with the crowbar says that, you know, this is a rookie mistake. He said when he was the underboss the whole time, he studied him. And says that he's gotten soft. He's going to finish him at Battleground. This has nothing to do with Rizzo. But I think that this match, while it's good for a pay-per-view, I do believe they should be spiced up a little bit. I think they need a street fight or something. To me, them having a regular match with this amount of animosity between them, I definitely think they should have like a street fight or something. All right, Tatum Paxley. She's spurging out because she no longer has friends. And she started acting up about friends leaving you, friends betraying you, and all this sort of stuff. And the target of all this nonsense was Thea Hale, who was doing nothing but standing there talking to somebody whose name I didn't write down. And it ended up with them having a match later on, which was filled with some of the most unique offense. My goodness, Tatum Paxley did some kind of flipping leg drop while Thea Hale was standing up. It was really weird. Thea Hale gets the Kimura onto Tatum Paxley, but she ends up getting to the ropes. But Thea Hale is pretty good with this Kimura, and he gets her in it again. Tatum Paxley then grabs Thea Hale's eye, like digs her thumb into Thea Hale's eye, and that's a disqualification because they disqualified her a little too soon, if we're being honest. But the idea is that Tatum Paxley is out of control. You know, now that she's alone, her friends are gone, she's lost her mind, she's digging out women's eyeballs. I'm all about this. That's good. Tatum Paxley is now a heel, but she's always oscillated between babyface and heel anyway. Mostly babyface the last few months, but she always had like a tinge of heelness to her anyway. It seems to me like they are waffling on what they needed her to be, but now she's sort of solidly a heel. Tatum Paxley has a ton of potential. So does Thea Hale. They both have incredible amount of potential. I want something consistent for Tatum Paxley. The lack of consistency, especially on the upswing for people like her and Lola Vice and Jada Parker, has been a disappointment. They have let too many women just come into the roster and go straight to the top. And all the girls who've been grinding for a while, who the crowd actually gets behind, they kind of get that ceiling put on them. And they are not allowed to crack through. You know, I get it. You wanted to bring in Julia and Stephanie Vaquera as a big deal and focus on them. But there's organic interest around people like Tatum Paxley and Lola Vice or whatever. And you just go with it sometimes. And Tatum Paxley is definitely one of those people that they need to just go with her. Choose a direction, babyface, heel, whatever, and go with it. Because I think she's got something. She's got a lot of potential. A nice feud with Thea Hale could be fun because Thea Hale needs something to sink her teeth into now that Chase U is over. At least her part of Chase U is over. All right, Stephanie Vaquera comes out. She's interrupted by Fatal Influence, who are disagreeing with each other. They're having passive-aggressive shots at one another. Jordynne Grace is out there to protect her investment. And JC Jane says that they built this division, so they should be at the top of it, and they don't like newbies, which I forgot was the mission statement of Fatal Influence, because they have basically played the back burner and been running around on TNA for, I think, 2 or 3 months. Anyway, Stephanie Vaquera believes that Jordynne Grace will fail once again at Battleground, but Jordynne Grace wants to focus on Fatal Influence. And this is the main event of the evening. Jordynne Grace and Stephanie Vaquera defeat Fatal Influence, which was JC Jane and Fallon Henley. It was okay. It was a pretty good match. Second week in a row for Jordynne Grace main eventing. They're putting some real steam behind her, I must say. Stephanie Vaquera looked great tonight, as usual. She's a phenomenal pro wrestler. She's also quite hot. I know everybody's tongues flapping like dogs at what she was wearing earlier in the evening when she wasn't wearing a shirt. I mean, she was just tongue just yapping like a dog. Just, come on, man. Show some respect for yourself. So Bubba Ray Dudley and Undertaker show up with 2 girls from LFG and said that only one of them is going to get to NXT contract. And I was surprised about this because I thought that Tyra May Steele, who was Tamara Mensah Stock, already had an NXT contract because she's been under contract for like 2 years. This other girl, never seen her before. Never seen her at all. Then Izzy Dame, Nikita Lyons, and Lash Legend, who are all giants, just showed up out of nowhere. Basically threatening the new girls if they decide to show up and try to show them up. Nikita Lyons, boy, she sure got Evolve banging, don't she? She made one trip to Evolve, got the show trending, and now people I love Nikita Lyons so much. It's not just because I'm a class A gooner, but because she's trolling people without trying. You know, like she is being very extra in how she's spamming emotes and everything, but she's just trying to show some personality. You know, that's all. She just trying to show some personality, and the internet hates her to a comedic level. It's very funny, man. It's very funny. I can't believe that Dynamite was on and somebody was doing flips in the ring and all people could talk about was Nikita Lyons. That was amazing PR for Evolve. I don't think Evolve ever had better PR than Nikita Lyons' one part on that episode where she did her pre-match gyrating. And then they started... It was so silly. She did a Vader bomb in her match for a finisher, and everybody was like, "What is this? What is that?" Like, they've never done a Vader bomb before. They've never seen it before. It was almost like she took a moonsault off of Venus or something like that. It was so retarded. Anyway, I don't know anything about this LFG stuff. I've heard that Tamara Mensah Stock sucks. This other girl, I haven't heard anything about her at all, so I don't know. I guess we'll see them when they pop up on NXT, but I would imagine they're both going to show up on NXT. I actually expect everybody who's been on LFG to show up on NXT at some point. All right, so Kalani Jordan and Zarya have agreed to have another match because Zarya said she could beat Kalani Jordan any day of the week, so they're going to have a rematch. Okie dokie. The TNA contract signing was a thing. Trick Williams, who was great on TNA, by the way, he went on TNA and turned full heel. Now he's pretty much full heel in NXT as well. Trick, who's calling himself Hollywood Trick, says that he's going to take what means the most from Joe Hendry because Joe Hendry cost him what means the most, which is the NXT Championship. Said he should have stayed where he was getting his flowers, should have stayed in his lane. Hendry said that he always wanted more. He's always out to get more. He's not going to sit back and start bitching like Trick Williams. Says that it's his job to make TNA the biggest brand that it possibly can be. And he's going to do that by defending this championship on a WWE PLE, which we call pay-per-views over here in regular people land. And he says that as fast as Trick Williams rose, he can come crashing down because after he loses this match, he's not going to have another path to gold. And Trick Williams actually looked nervous after this. I got to say, this was serious Joe Hendry, and it was better than I expected. Now they're going to go back to him being silly because next week he's going to be playing the guitar. But Trick Williams was really good on TNA, by the way. He was out there spitting rhymes, but they was wetting him, which was a disaster. It was the shits. He he was cutting a good promo too, and they just what? Like, man, they need to. I wish Stone Cold Steve Austin would get fired for that what shit. It's so bad, man. It's just so goddamn bad. It's been ruining wrestling shows for 20 years. What a disaster. Anyway, in my view, this should be the main event of the pay-per-view, but I guess they're going to go with the NXT title match. But, I think Jordan Grace and Stephanie Vecchio, I think you can make a solid case that should main event as well. But they're loading up Battleground. That show is going to be loaded. It's going to be a lot of stuff on that show. I guess we could talk about this one last thing, even though it's nothing to discuss really. But Inamura is apparently gone, and Hank and Tank were talking to Briggs. And Briggs, well, by Briggs, I mean Josh Briggs. Well, he's confronted by Shawn Spears. Shawn Spears, who has showed up wearing a suit jacket with no sleeves and no shirt. I just wanted to jam a red hot poker right in his left eye. I hate this fucking guy. Anyway, they're teasing Brooks and Jensen being put back together, which I'm not interested in. I don't care about that. I don't want that. And to me, it doesn't seem like that's anything that a great body of people are going to be too interested in. We're beyond that. You could just cut them both as far as I'm concerned. Because I don't see anything in Jensen where he needs to stick around either. And that's that. So the boss over at CW, a man by the name of Brad Schwartz, has put over NXT strongly. He said it's been an absolute game changer for CW. And I think it's been a game changer for WWE. This last quarter that just ended was the highest rated NXT quarter in 5 years. It's up 19% year over year. Oh my good God. This is amazing. He said in adults 18 to 49 and 25 to 54, we're regularly beating Fox on Tuesday nights. It's unheard of. So it's been absolutely crushing for us. It's one of the big reasons why our network is up as a whole 40% season over season. Besides animation on Fox, NXT has the highest concentration of 18 to 49 and 25 to 54 on all broadcasts. Holy hell, Shawn Michaels is doing his job. It's up 19%. CW is up 40%. Brother, Shawn Michaels is doing his job. Shawn Michaels is the chef. He's cooking. It's amazing what, hey, if you have interesting people fighting each other, even if other people don't think it's interesting, if you have interesting characters fighting each other, people will tune in to see it. Amazing how that works. Amazing. If you lose, just do a little bit of surprise and a whole lot of shenanigans, people will tune in to watch it. Funny. We've known this for a really long time now. Glad we got confirmation. Good stuff for CW, good stuff for NXT, and the show was solid. Wasn't my favorite episode of NXT, but it was better than Raw, for sure. That's why you're getting a full review of NXT. And it's been better than Dynamite and SmackDown for a long time. It's the best wrestling show of the week, more often than not. You know, people can talk about how characters like Tony D'Angelo might not have any staying power on the main roster. Who gives a fuck? Look who's on the main roster rotting. You got Karrion Kross selling a ton of merchandise he can't get on TV. Are you serious? You got people Andrade not doing shit on. You know what? I'm glad. God bless NXT, at least right now. Look at the people who are not being used on Raw and SmackDown, and people are like, oh man, I don't know if this guy's ever going to be able to leave NXT. Guess what? It's a good thing now. Okay, Tony D'Angelo may never leave NXT. How is that going to harm him? You know, at this point, as long as his storylines are going straight. Now it's almost over because, you know, the whole family thing is about to fall apart. But what can you do? Yeah, Wesley, he may never leave NXT. Well, that's a problem for him because he's boring otherwise. So he might be on the first train back to TNA. But for most of the people, okay, if they never leave, it's fine. But we all know that Starks ain't staying in NXT forever, and Javon and Trick, they're not staying in NXT forever. But it's for the best right now, considering there's nowhere for them to go on the main roster. And if they have to stay, it's fine. Because there's Evolve, where you send people like Lexus King. They've sent him to Evolve to help out. They've sent Nikita Lyons to Evolve to help out. They send them to TNA to help that brand too. You shouldn't be in a rush to leave at this point. You know, you're actually getting TV time. Most of the people on the main roster ain't getting no goddamn TV time. There's no investment. There's no real reason. If you were to just suddenly try to do something with Karrion Kross, it'd probably take a while before people actually even care. It's the same thing with Andrade and Rusev and all these guys, man. Triple H is the shits. Or even if it's not Triple H, maybe it's the writing staff. Maybe it's fucking Road Dogg. Then he should get rid of Road Dogg. I don't know who's writing Raw, but get rid of that fucking guy too. Because NXT is doing something right. I keep seeing how Raw is not scoring high enough on Netflix. Its ratings going down. It's oscillating between up and down. And look at the numbers they're talking about with NXT, which is consistently voted as the worst wrestling show by people who, again, collect Koji Kanemoto clips, who sit around and write articles about Toyonbori. You don't need to know who that is. All right? These people hate NXT. But apparently there's a ton of other people who love it. So you're doing something right. So Raw and SmackDown need to reflect more of what NXT is doing. This is the first time in history probably where NXT actually is showing Raw and SmackDown how it's done. Not like back in the black and gold era where they had 500 people in the building going nuts for goddamn Bobby Roode versus Bo Dallas or whatever the fuck they were doing. You know, with the occasional 10,000 because, you know, they got WrestleMania weekend or some other big pay-per-view going on that weekend too. NXT should take the lead. What you see, the characters and all that kind of stuff, that's what you should be seeing on Raw and SmackDown, man. The storylines that they do, that's what you be seeing on Raw and SmackDown. How all the roster is something, it gets into the mix. There's some people that have, slipped through the cracks. Lola Vice being one of them. A couple others. But for the most part, man, NXT got the right blend. So, what do you guys think, though? Let me know in the comment section. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.
Old non-aggression. Once that lesson sets in, you'll see a session. But you got an affection for no progression. Regression, the best don't